Another one bites the dust. Rand Paul, the so-called libertarian in the Republican primary field, is ending his campaign. They never just say, Lewis, I'm ending the campaign. They say they are suspending the campaign. Well, it is indeed going to be suspended today. There is no indication whatsoever that Rand Paul had any chance of winning the Republican primary, which in a way is sad because I think that both Hillary Clinton and Bernie Sanders would be better options than Rand Paul. But within the Republican field, Rand Paul on many issues was by far the most reasonable guy, Lewis. I mean, I'm no isolationist, but his foreign policy made a lot more sense than the carpet bombing neoconservatism of someone like Ted Cruz, for example. Yes, on energy and on the environment and on abortion, oftentimes Rand Paul didn't make a lot of sense. But from the guys on the stage, he and Kasich were the reasonable guys. And unfortunately, in 2016, being reasonable doesn't really help you with Republican voters.
No, you have to be either very religious or very xenophobic, I guess, or those are your two options, or both.
And he did not do well in Iowa at all. And there was every indication he was going to do even worse in New Hampshire, which in a sense is weird, Lewis, because New Hampshire on the Republican side in general, but particularly on the Republican side, is more sort of libertarian-minded. You would think Rand Paul is their guy, although on many issues he's not really a libertarian, but he's at least presented as one, did not appear as though he was going to do any better in New Hampshire, and he is saying that is it for me. And he's actually in the middle of a re-election, or he needs to get going with his re-election campaign to the Senate in Kentucky. Mayor Jim Gray of Lexington, Kentucky, has filed to run against Rand Paul towards the end of last month. I mean, in the last 10 days. Maybe Paul is just realizing I've gotten the publicity I can get from being on that Republican debate stage, but I'm not going to win, and I need to make sure I can even stay in the Senate. Probably a pragmatic move by Rand Paul.
And it wouldn't surprise me if that was the plan all along. Maybe he realized that he was not going to become president.
It doesn't seem crazy to me for him to have said, okay, I'm not going to do well, but if I can at least poll well enough to participate in debates, more people will be aware of me. I will probably be able to raise more money in my Senate re-election campaign, and then I'll just bail and say I'm suspending my campaign. Yeah, no doubt about it. Could have been a plan all along. And indeed, we say goodbye to Rand Paul. I actually was aware that Rand Paul was running a campaign. I mean, Rick Santorum and Jeb Bush, there were other people, Chris Christie, who are making even less of an impact, and they're still in for now. I mean, they should maybe take a guide here from Rand Paul and do the same.
I think anyone who is on stage two really should definitely take the hint at this point. And probably, unfortunately, Kasich and Christie, yes.